Well, happy Monday to all of you. Hope you all had a nice weekend. Today we're going to be talking about solving some basic equations. So before we do, let's go back to elementary school and talk about the first time you actually solved an algebra equation. It just didn't look like algebra because your teachers tried not to scare you, and instead of giving you letters, they gave you this box that was empty. And it was your job to fill in the box. 4 plus what number equals 10? And hopefully you can see that that number is 6. All right, now in algebra, we just don't write it that way. We don't write box with a question mark inside. Instead, we put X or Y or Z or Q or whatever other letter because it's just a missing number, and the missing number happens to not be the after the equal sign. It's not just the answer. All right, the missing number is in the middle. So our job is to solve problems that look like this. All right, it's the same thing as this problem, except they're going to become more difficult because they're not all going to be so simple elementary school level like that one was. Next one, same thing. This is a simple elementary school level. 9 minus what makes 2? Well, 9 minus 7 makes 2. Again, you could probably just see that in your head. But in algebra, we would have written it like this. 9 minus x makes 2. All right, now, if you know the answer just by looking at it, like this one, 7, then great, do it. You don't have to show any work. But if you do not see the answer, let's talk about the steps to actually doing this problem by showing our work. All right, so steps for solving an equation. Step 1, we're going to split the problem down the middle at the equal sign. So we're going to draw an actual line right there. That's a terrible line. So there's a line right down the middle at the equal sign, splitting this into two sides, a left and a right. All right, my second step, isolate the variable. Well, isolate means get all alone. So I'm going to circle the variable to draw attention to it, right there. I want that thing all by itself on its half of the problem. And right now it is not all by itself. There's that stupid plus 2 that's in the way. So we're going to get that variable by itself by using what are called inverse operations. This word inverse right here, all right, inverse. That word right there means the same thing as reverse. Go backwards, go the opposite way. So we have the order of operations, and we are going to actually go the opposite direction, which means we're going to start down here. We are going to get rid of adding and subtracting numbers first. And we got that. Got an add 2 number right there. That's the number we're going to get rid of first. And we get rid of by doing its opposite. And they're already lined up to tell you what are opposites. Add and subtract are opposites of each other. All right? So over here, the opposite of add 2 is going to be subtract 2. All right? But in an equation, equations mean equal. I have to keep things equal on both sides. So if I'm going to subtract 2 on the left, I have to subtract 2 on the right. All right, now I'm going to draw a line, treat this like elementary school. I'm going to add up my columns. This far right column, 6 minus 2, that makes 4. Next column, 2 minus 2, that makes 0. And that's the reason I just did everything. That was the purpose of this step. Then this x doesn't have any matches. It's going to just come on straight down. Oh, and there's the answer. X equals 4. Because, of course, if I went back and put a 4 in right there where the x is, 4 plus 2 definitely makes 6. And that's what I was looking for. Again, in elementary school, this problem would have looked like this. What number plus 2 equals 6? And you would have known to plug in a 4. All right? But again, they're going to get more difficult because there are going to be negatives involved, and they're not going to be so easy to see in your head. So let's practice one of those negatives. All right, so here's some examples that involve negative numbers. We're going to do the same way we just did that last one. Step 1, split it down the middle. Step 2, let's find that x. There it is. And let's get it all by itself. So that means I do not care about the things on the other side of that equal sign. I don't care about that 10. I only care about the minus 3. And the opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. So I will do plus 3 on both sides. All right, now if I can just go down my columns. On the far right side over here, I got 10 plus 3. Well, that's 13. That's elementary school looking. Now the next one, negative 3 and positive 3. Well, they are what we call a zero pair. A plus and a minus of the same number. When we add them, we get 0. And we don't write zeros in math. Then this x comes straight down, and I'm finished. X is 13. You can always go back and check your work. Plug a 13 in where the x used to be. So if I take this old problem, it used to be x minus 3 equals 10. And we just said x is really 13, so switch it to a 13. And is it true? 13 minus 13 is 10. It checks out. So you are allowed to check your own work. And I don't necessarily want you to do this on every problem, but it's a good idea on a test or a quiz to check your work. All right, next one, same thing. We're going to split it down the middle at the equal sign. And I'm going to find where that missing number x is. And I want to get that number by itself, which means I care about this 2. I do not care about the minus 4 right now. So we're going to do the opposite of that plus 2. And the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. And I always do the same on both sides of that line I drew. All right, on the left, or sorry, on the right, negative 4 minus 2. Now, if you're bad at this stuff, use a calculator. You're allowed to. It gives you negative 6. In the middle over here, 2 minus 2, that makes 0. And then this x drops down, and I'm done. If you want to check your work, you can always go back to the original problem, x plus 2 equals negative 4. And we just said x is really negative 6, so switch it. And then you can use a calculator to check it. And oh, it does work. Negative 4 does make the answer. All right, one more. All right, last one. Split it down the middle at the equal sign. Let's find where the x is, and we want to get the x by itself, so the opposite of minus 6 here is going to be plus 6. All right, on the right-hand side, negative 3 plus 6. Well, again, if you're bad at that stuff, use a calculator. It makes positive 3. On the left, negative 6 and positive 6, there's that 0 pair. It goes away. Bring the x down. There's our answer. Again, you can always go back and check your work. Now, you don't have to do this step, but again, it is nice that you can. We said we think x equals 3, so let's try it. And again, I do this on a calculator, 3 minus 6, and it does turn out to give negative 3, and everything checked out. All right, this is your work today. Just some basic beginning step of solving equations. You should have seen this in middle school. All right, good luck.